I wanted to talk about alchemy and alchemists. What most people know about alchemy is the idea that it's somebody who's trying to turn lead into gold. That's the ultimate form of alchemy. Also, like the idea of making a universal elixir of life that can just make you immortal or heal all of your illnesses. And I was thinking about how, alchemists are basically modern day chemists. Like they knew how to combine different elements and create new things, and they were scientists. They happened to also be mystics. They were doing science, and I was thinking about how expensive it is to do scientific experiments, right? And so you need a patron. And a lot of times at least in like medieval times, alchemists are associated with like kings. They have an alchemist around, right? And so I was wondering if this whole idea of turning lead into gold was a propaganda way of getting kings interested in your work, because they don't care about science. They care about power and money. So you're like, well, I can use, if you give me money, I could try to figure out how to do this thing. And I was
I'm following. Totally 100% agree that that's definitely a way to get money towards your cause of science. And even if it's not science and it's even the metaphysical half, like I want to explore these metaphysical options. Or is also the metaphysical part a way to draw in kings and people of power?
Because you're like, oh, I can be your prophet. I can foretell the future. There were 3 different main types of alchemy, if you look back far enough. So there's Chinese alchemy, Indian alchemy, and Western alchemy. If you go back far enough, you start to look into Hellenistic Egyptian alchemy. And so I was reading into that, and that they talk about, there's only a few Egyptian documents on alchemy that survived because it's so old. The most notable of these documents is called the Stockholm Papyrus and the Leiden Papyrus X. And what's interesting about these documents is they basically just give you recipes on how to fabricate gemstones, pearls, and make imitation gold and silver. And
oh my god.
Yes, and they do not code it very much in these papers. It's pretty much just like a recipe. They're just telling you how to do it. And then people took these papers, and then this is what some of alchemy is kind of based off of. Like, this is like early history of it. And so what I think happened is a lot of the alchemy and the coding and stuff are these recipes that people decided that, oh, you can't just read them. You don't want to be able to just read them, right? You need to be able to code them, because these were probably sacred papers that nobody could see. But now think of, like, the further you get into time, the more you have copies of books and documents, and then you have the printing press, and that's going to make it harder. So you need to code things so that people can't just do it themselves. You don't want anybody to be able to fake gold. You also don't want kings to know that that's possible, right? Because if these are bargaining tools and ways for you to get what you want, you don't want people to know it's even possible to make fake gold and silver. So is this the secret that they've been passing to each other, is really not to how to turn lead into gold, not actually, but in the sense that here's how you fake make gold. They know they can't turn lead into gold, but it's a great bargaining tool.
Let's do a modern day extrapolation on it.
So apparently you can turn lead into gold. They've done it recently. You can use a particle accelerator. And what those do is they actually change, the isotopes of the makeup of whatever you put in them, and can change what's in there. So you can do it with lead, but in this experiment they did it with bismuth because it's just easier to change into gold. But they said it takes so much energy and costs so much money that it would take trillions of dollars to make an ounce of gold out of lead. But you can do it. Yeah. So I thought that was interesting. And would blow people's minds, science, bitch. When they first did it, you couldn't even see it. They had to measure the isotopes in the air. They were like, what happened? Where is it?
Okay, so let's extrapolate on that. And not even extrapolate, like, just make a quick inference. And I'm just saying, like, I'm making this story up for the sake of it being a funny story. Imagine that research that went on about that particle accelerator was funded because the government wanted to make lead into gold.
Like Alchemist, but now they were able to pay for their particle accelerator, which could do a bunch of other things. I don't know what, you tell me. But I'm sure it's like it's literally modern, yeah, the modern day version, right?
Of alchemy.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes.